We've now reached in our study of Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers, Chapter 1, Mishna 6, and in the Green Siddur, it's on page 524. In the Hebrew text, it's the final word on the page. And we've now reached the next Zagot, the second of the pairs of scholars who we study about in Pirkei Avot. So my friend and colleague Rabbi Shlomo Odz, in previous videos, taught about Yossi ben Yoezer and Yossi ben Yochanan, the first group of pairs of scholars and sages. Now we are introduced to the next ones, Yehoshua ben Parachia and Nitai Ha'arbeli. So I'll read the Mishna and then we'll learn a little bit about this Mishna and its context. So Yehoshua ben Parachia v'Nitai Ha'arbeli kibelu behem. Yehoshua ben Parachia and Nitai Ha'arbeli received the tradition from their teachers, the previous pair, Yossi ben Yochanan and Yossi ben Yoezer. And now we're going to learn what Yehoshua ben Parachia said, and of course the next Mishnah talks about Nitai Ha'arbeli. Yehoshua ben Parachia Omer. Yehoshua ben Parachia used to say, Asei lecha rav, uknei lecha chaver, vehevedan et kol ha'adam lecha b'zechut. Get yourself a teacher, acquire a companion, and give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Now, these sages lived most likely in one of the better times of Hasmonean rule. You'll recall, of course, that the Hanukkah story, taking place in approximately 165 BCE, was followed by the Hasmonean dynasty, but it was not always a good time or a successful dynasty. There were unfortunately many bad times in it, but also there were brighter times as well. And it would appear that these sages lived at one of the brighter times, perhaps in the first part, at the beginning or slightly later on, of the 1st century BCE, before the Common Era. And they were also, as we've explained previously, fighting on behalf of the Prushim, the Pharisees, in the Kulta camp against the Sadducees. The Pharisees were the authentic expression of Jewish law and tradition, and the Sadducees were not. And this was a battle for the minds and the hearts of the Jewish people. And as we'll see, Yehoshua ben Parachia has some positives, and Nitai Ha'arbeli in the next Mishnah, and you'll see it in that video, has some ways of expressing negatives. In other words, things to avoid if you do not want to fail in this call to cover. You do not want to fail in living an authentic Jewish tradition. So Yehoshua ben Parachia says, get yourself a teacher, asei lecha rav. Now, this I think has tremendous relevance and resonance for our times as well. It can be very easy just to go onto Google and look up an answer. But if you really want to get an answer which is pertinent for you and perhaps even the most correct for you, but also to benefit from the learning process of interacting with the scholar, it's so important to have a Rav, to have a rabbi, to have a teacher, and someone who you can talk to, and vice versa, because we all, of course, learn from each other. And therefore the role of asking a she'elah, of asking a question, but also of learning with a person that you can have a connection with, is really, really important. And of course, this Mishnah also challenges us to make ourselves as scholarly as possible. So especially in the context that it's taught, it says, have an authentic and scholar and rabbi who is there to guide you and there to help you. But it works in every single age, and especially, I think, in our contemporary times as well. Knei lecha chaver, acquire for yourself a friend. This is an interesting phrase because knei seems to suggest some kind of commercial elements here. Making a kinyan, acquiring something, is not always done through a commercial transaction in the way that we are perhaps used to today. Acquiring something means also making it something which is very dear to you and you have a real connection to it. And especially acquiring a friend. This is not something which is just done like this. It's something which requires effort, requires time, requires input. And a chaver, a friend, is the word which we translated as friend, but chaver means something which is joined together. Somebody who you care for and vice versa. You want the best for and vice versa. And that, of course, is something which requires effort. Rabbi Lord Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, in one of his favorite pieces, my favorite piece of his writing, I should say, which I keep by my desk. It's some of the things that Judaism has taught me about life. Some very short sayings which I return to often. Says the following: always seek out the friendship of those who are strong where you are weak. None of us has all the virtues. Even a Moses needed an Aaron. The work of a team, a partnership, a collaboration with others who have different gifts or different ways of looking at things is always greater than any one individual. can achieve alone. I think that beautifully sums up some of the ideas of Knei Lecha Chaver. And then finally, give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Now, our classical commentaries explain to us that if you see somebody, particularly if they're your chaver, doing something which you think is curious, give them the benefit of the doubt rather than thinking that they are sinning. And particularly in the context of the sages that we are studying, it was important to have a chaver, someone that you were close to and you could navigate life together with, but also to try and keep a society together in the best way. Let's not press the accuse button immediately, particularly if there is a way to look at things more favorably. And this is a very important and I think, again, very relevant lesson that the Mishnah teaches. Rabbi Sachs, once again, in the same document, which you can download from his website, if you Google it, you'll find it, says as follows: be very slow indeed to judge others. If they are wrong, God will judge them. If we are wrong, God will judge us. Greater by far than the love we receive is the love we give. So, we've seen in this Mishnah 3 very important lessons with some beautiful contemporary thoughts from Rabbi Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, may his memory be for a blessing. And they give us a pathway, not just which was relevant in the time of Yehoshua ben Parachia, but remains resonant and relevant in our times and links us back all the way to the giving of the Torah at Sinai. Have a great day.